Welcome back. It's Professor Tunchimani. I uh, I have a quick tutorials on Pro Tools. I love using Pro Tools DAW. I started using FL Studio, then I moved down to Ableton Live. But I found out that anytime I make productions, I have to export the files to WAV or MP3, then bring them back to Pro Tools for mixing and also mastering because it's the industrial standard version. So I tend to do everything in Pro Tools instead of going down there and coming backward. And I prefer to run my software in AAX format rather than VST. I prefer AAX formats rather than VST. So today we're gonna be doing things you are to know while you are using Pro Tools. In fact, things you are ought or first to know as a beginner. It is a beginner guide course. So things you are supposed to know before you start using Pro Tools. When you open up Pro Tools, you tend to have this section box pop up for you like this. You can sign in. I have my account. I can probably sign in. If you have your account with Pro Tools and you have an iLock account, and you can sign in to activate your softwares. But we here in Nigeria, we don't tend to buy softwares. So what we do, we use stock plugins. So I'm gonna be everything I'll be showing you is gonna be with stock plugins. So I tend not to use this one. So what you are seeing here is called your dashboard. It contains your login in details. It contains your grades. It contains your type. This type is when you can choose between your project online and your section. Section means local. You're saving it to your that is your local machine. That's your hard disks. While this project, it means you're saving it to your iCloud, and your iCloud does not have more than a gig to save. So we have templates. I have a template, I call it started. You can follow up in my next courses. I'll teach you how to create your own template. And we have file type, we have sample, and then we have bit depth, we have iOS settings, and we have interleaves. That we have prompt for location. So this is where you set all your files, where you are going to say, hey Pro Tools, go to the file, get me this is your locations, your mixing, your production, everything is going to be. What I do is I don't produce on my own system built in hard disks, because Pro Tools has this madness when you're making everything together. It tends to look for files, and then before you know it, start having prompts like you have low space not to record this and that. So what I tend to do, I have an SSD, a 120 SSD gig outside, which I connect to the system, and I do my productions. Once I'm done, I unplug my SSD and all my files are stored inside of it. So we're gonna be running down quick. So before then, we're gonna be doing a preferences. That's hardware. Hardware is where you contain all your hardware machines. Your is where you have your sound card, or is that your sound card, or many more. Like I have this FL Asios drivers. This FL Asios drivers, I've been using this for long, and this is how it looks like. I use my own built-in sound card. So aside from that, we have playback engine. Playback engine is when you have your own, where sound is going to be coming out. I don't have my own hardwares right now, but I tend to use the manual ones, the one who comes with the system, which I tend to use the FL Studio iOS, and the sample rate, the buffer size, depending on what you are doing. If I'm making productions, I tend to bring it to 1512, and if I'm mixing, I tend to bring it to the highest version, low latencies. And my catchy file is, I love to take it because I have about 12 gig RAMs, so I tend to make it at 3, dividing it in 4 sections. Then we have this location, which you've done that. preferences. That's peripherals where you get your MIDI controllers and all the rest settings like that. You get them from here. And iOS where you get your input and output. This is where you get them. If you have an hardware, you can set them all here. And market where you get your plugins, your accounts, and the rest of them. So what we're gonna be doing here, we're gonna be creating a project, and I have this. Okay, let's do everything from scratch. I will not use template. I'm gonna be saving this thing here, and I'm gonna be titling this as YouTube. So gonna be YouTube lesson 1. Okay, let's just make it YouTube lesson 1, and I tend to use AIFF files than the WAV files than BWF. So I tend to use this one more, and the reason why I use AIFF file is that it tends to work out things more perfectly for me. When it comes to drums, it allows me to go extra miles my low frequencies. With the wave, I tend not to enjoy waves while I do things. It's based on personal preferences what I do. My buffer size, my sample rate, I leave it at 4.11, and then I bring my bit depth to 24. I remove my interleaves. Sometimes I love to go between mono and stereo. Interleaves means it's gonna make everything stereo. I don't want that. So last settings, if you've been using if I've used it for many productions already, so that's why it always go back to my license. So but you can choose your stereo mix. It's gonna be picking from your left and right channel. So once everything is set, you are just going to click create, and your interface will be display. So you can see right now I'm using 2 monitor, right? I'm using 2 monitors, and what I tend to do with my monitor is I tend to extend my monitors. So you can see this guy is serving for this one, and then this one is for this one. So I tend to use monitor. This is for my mixing. This is my mix, and this is my edit. So you can see their names here. This one is called mix, and this one is called edit. So I tend to remove some things close to this bar. I don't want chords, but I want markers, tempo, and beats. So what I tend to do, there are 2 ways you can do that. You can either click this icon here to edit the beat of a song. We're gonna be doing some Afro song later. We're gonna be going with I want the Afro Pro to be very vibrant, so I'm gonna be going to 80 tempo. So what I do, you see, I set it. Anytime I create a new project, it comes with a click track. Look, I hear the sound. Boop, pump, pump. So I can make it inactive and make it active again. It's based on choices, So, but with that, I don't get to do much. I tend to use more of comments. Sometimes I can just write tempo on my comment and write tempo, and boom, that's just it. That's just what I'll just leave it as okay, tempo. You get, so just tempo, and probably you get to see everything here called tempo. There is with the latest version, you can be able to add image, characters, and so on and so forth. So many things. Pop-up direction format. You can do a lot of things. Once you right click, you can select all. You right click again. Right to left reader. You can switch them to Unicode characters. You can do a lot of things. So I tend to do things the way I feel like I am very, very much happy with it. There's no rules in doing things, but first you need to know. So that is just how you can be able to set up your preferences. Thank you.